Today we have a Renaissance man and his dog on Talking with the Dogs. Yes, Doug Budin, an actor, a storyteller. He's co-host of Jeff Lewis Live on Sirius XM 102. He's co-host of This Is Happening, the podcast. He is an actor who has guest starred with recurring roles on Modern Family, Friends, Two Broke Girls, and many more. He knows life in LA, New York City, Beverly Hills, and a lot of places in between. What else can I tell you? He is a cooking guru, shall we say, in the works. On his Instagram site, he is starting to show some cooking and great recipes that are not so challenging to make. And what really interests me about talking with Doug is he has a black lab who he likes to spend as much time as possible with. And what I want to find out from his dog and Doug is what they do to make it work when someone is a busy person, and how to keep that bond going and make it so everyone's needs are met, including the dogs, and taking good care when he's still out and about doing his other activities. So join us and welcome Doug Budin.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah. You said you like to spend as much time as you can with your dog. And as a busy guy, and a lot of people don't like to admit this, but since you're a chatty guy and you talk to so many people every day,
yes,
we're gonna talk about how a person has a vibrant life and still has a dog and takes care of the dog. And Hudson told me as I was tuning in, I was like, okay, Hudson, what do you want to talk about? He wants to we're going to just put it out there. How does someone have a dog and go to work and take care of the dog? Because Hudson says he's actually very happy with his life and he never feels abandoned by you. He feels like the people that you bring into his world, that is your village, are good people, is his words.
Mm-hmm.
So he feels like this is a discussion that people need to hear. How do you take care of a dog when you have a busy life? So I want to ask you, because Hudson is telling me this, what can you contribute to this? Whether it's your experience or what you've heard that works for people.
Well, it's one of these things that's like having a child. And so I always just, he's got a schedule. And so I just I'm always cognizant of his schedule. In my particular case, especially in the last 6 years, Hudson has a condition called megaesophagus. So he has to eat and drink in a special chair. And so my schedule is certainly much more regimented now because of his schedule. He can't eat or drink unless he's in that chair. And then he has to sit in that chair for 20 minutes to let gravity take the food down. So it's just one of those things. I don't ever think about it as a sacrifice. It's just, especially when you're an actor, you just have to sort of make it all work. And so whatever it is, I make it work. There have been days where I've had to have a friend come in and let him out. But basically, there's only a handful of us who really know how to feed him and take care of him. So you do what you have to do to make it work. That's the only thing I can think of.
What would you say to someone who says, well, I can't just make it work? I mean, what is your secret to making it work?
You have to have, as you refer to it, a village.
Mm-hmm.
I made a few videos on how I feed him and how he gets in and out of the chair. I've trained a few people. I am very, my next door neighbor, I know, God forbid, if I was expecting to be home and I'm not going to make it home, that I have somebody whom I trust who will be able to go in. Listen, I also, let's face it, I don't work as often as I want to, but when I am working and I get an audition and I see, okay, this is going to shoot next week, the first thing I do is figure out his schedule and who can I call, who can I put on hold, who can I put on standby, and also knowing that it's okay if he eats an hour later or has to eat an hour earlier, like we do. And as much as I want him to eat and drink at exactly the same time each day, we can't always do that. So I just really go through all the steps. I try to approach it like a stage manager would, like have all of your contingencies. If I get called in and I'm going to be late, and then if I have to hire someone, and then what happens if I get released early and I don't need the person to come in? Well, then I have to pay them anyway, but at least it's the peace of mind. So I just say, I plan. I'm like a super planner. So I just plan for any contingency I can think of. Hudson is now 12, and I had a lab for 10 and a half years before that. I haven't had a problem yet where Hudson's gone unattended. It's more challenging now because I can't drop him off. I can't just have anybody come in. It does require a little bit of knowledge in terms of his Bailey chair, but the only thing I can say is you make it work.
You not only do you have a schedule for Hudson, but you have a list of people with phone numbers ready to go on who you can call in case of emergency, that are trained and can get to Hudson and take care of him.
Isn't that something that most people would do? Is that really not a thing? Okay.
No,
I never thought about not doing that, but everybody should do that. And you should also have what your dog eats, drinks. If there's any medications, you should have that documented so that, God forbid, there is an emergency, you don't have to then first start thinking about that. You should keep that the way you would keep your own medications filed somewhere. Like, have that ready to go. So all you have to do is just print it or make any last minute additions and just have that ready to go.
If you can do it, people, there's no reason the rest of us can't figure it out. If he's on a set with a big crew and he can't run off, the rest of us can also figure out how to have a backup plan for our dogs so that
find that person that you trust, or at least a couple of people that it'll give you peace of mind because they know you and they know your pet, and they'll have both of your best interests in mind. So it'll alleviate that stress. Obviously, you never want to get a call from a friend or a vet while you're working, while you're anywhere away from home, that there's an issue. But if you have even if it's one person that you can trust, that is such peace of mind, and that it just lets you don't have to sort of wear all that stress. They'll worry about it for you. And when you get back home or when you get to your phone, then you can worry about it.
Excellent. Okay. So Hudson, what else do you want to say? So he wants to put emphasis on, you don't need to worry. Dogs don't want us worrying when we're not home. That if you do all these things, you're probably going to find that your dog is sprawled out on the bed or very happy. Oh, Hudson says he likes the air conditioner. He says, as long as it's not too hot. I thought so.
He does not. I'm so interested to hear about this because I noticed when it gets warm and he starts panting, and then I'm like, but when I make it very cool, he stops panting.
He does. I'm starting to sweat. So I, as an animal communicator, sometimes will feel what the animals will tell me things. Hi, Hudson. They will tell me things, or I can get a feeling. And he hates being hot. He loves right when you turn on the air conditioner. It's like,
But how come he chooses to sunbathe? I won't sunbathe because my skin is so fair. He is a black, hairy dog, and he likes to go lay in the sun.
He's like, Doug. It's different. He says, listen, wait a minute. Anybody who's been places, when you feel the warmth of the sun on your body, it feels good. Not when it's too hot, but it feels good to an extent. And he says, he gets up and leaves when he's had enough.
Yeah, that is true. He does do that.
Yeah, it is true. He told me. So he says he likes the feeling of the warm sun, but he says there's nothing worse than being inside. Because there's stale air, because it's hot, it's trapped. He does not like being hot. And he says, no, inside. Because when he's outside, he says he's always has the way to get up and leave the sun.
Right.
But when he's in a house, he doesn't have that opportunity. He's trying to say, see, I tried to tell you.
I'm going to make it cooler. Now I'm talking, and it's 77. I'm going to lower it. I'll lower it to 74. How's that?
Yes. He says we can work it out. He says that one of the things he appreciates about you is that you can work it out. And he says he knows he is a negotiator at times.
So snarky.
He is a negotiator, and you do to go back. It's like we riff, and he has a sense of humor. It's not like woof riff. He likes to, you go back and forth. It's like a game, but he says he respects your limits, and you have a special way of cutting him off from negotiating, and he knows that you have his best interest. He's
Good.
grateful, but he would like you to teach the good people in whatever you have to say about negotiating with a dog.
Okay.
Whatever I guess you know something about negotiating. He says, oh, he's so proud of you. He says, why, because of his health issues, why at some point you cannot let a dog get away with things. Like my dog sitter who fed the dogs all the extra food.
Right.
Because they were, what have you figured out about cutting off that negotiation?
Well, at some point, by the way, when you hear him gag like that, that's part of his condition. He regurgitates, especially after he's been laying down. So I apologize if people are listening and they hear all this gagging and panting. That's just how it goes with the megaesophagus dog. I'm very empathetic and sympathetic, and I know I think about him, and I want him to be the happiest and most comfortable and content, but at the same time, he is a dog and I'm responsible for him. So on some level, he's going to have to know that I know what's best for him more than he does. So, he can look at me with these eyes. He's got these sweet eyes, my little baby.
Hi, Hudson.
He's also my dog and I'm responsible for him.
Yeah. And he knows that. He said he in the early days, he had a few mishaps that I guess he made a mess. He got into some things.
He sure did.
It was
That's when I got dog insurance, when I had to keep going back to the vet. I would walk in and they'd say, what did he eat now?
Yeah, it was a mess. And he didn't feel very good. So you proved your worthiness to him because you took care of it and he felt a lot better. But it was a mess. It was just and he knew he was in trouble. But he knew he was in trouble in the senses that he didn't feel very good.
Right, exactly.
Oh, Hudson. Well, some dogs do learn the hard way. Hudson, what else would you like Doug to know? You've shared a lot with people, but what would you like to, something special, because you're really special. Okay, Hudson, what do you want Doug to know that's special? So he doesn't want you to feel bad. You said earlier today, you're not working as much as you used to, and none of us really are, but he doesn't want you to feel bad about it because the time that you've had this time together has been so special and he loves it. And that you have had it's not like quality, it is like quality time, but it's longer amounts of time together that have been really, really good and very important time. So he wants you to know that. And he wants you not to worry that you haven't been working as much. And now he wants me to talk about your cooking. So in researching you more, so I would know, Hudson, or we might want to talk about your Instagram. You're cooking on Instagram, like a cooking show.
Yes. Well, we just did our first one last night with my friend Jamie.
I saw that. It was great. It looked delicious.
It was so much fun. I've never done anything like that before. Hudson actually sat in the back for much of it.
He loved it.
He watched. And we had so much fun. And I love to cook. When I was growing up, my mom actually was a Chinese cooking teacher. Even though she's a little old Jewish lady, she's a Chinese cooking teacher. So I really grew up in the kitchen, and I have a real love of cooking and creating things in the kitchen. And my friend Jamie is a gal that I only know from the farmer's market. And she reached out to me. She said, let's cook something and do it on Instagram. I said, sure. And we had so much fun. I would love this to become something regular.
Well, Hudson would too. He really enjoyed it too, because it was a treat for him with his limited diet, or his and all, is that he can sit and smell, and he loved it.
Good.
Yes. So I think that's one of the things he likes when I was getting this feeling about pulling out this quality time at home and creative time. So I have started doing episodes of Cooking with the Dogs. And so if you would like to, with Hudson and even your friend Jamie, contribute an episode, I'm happy to share it, because what my vision of Cooking with the Dogs is, people like you look at all the cooking shows, and we've got all these cooking shows, but how many cooking shows have a dog in them?
I can't think of any.
Exactly. But how many kitchens in America have a dog in the kitchen while they're
I
cooking?
I think you're onto something.
Yes. So if you ever do an episode with your friend, tag cooking with the dogs and or send it to and I'll share it too. And we can get cooking tips of what you do because a lot of dogs that I talk to say they love the smells, and some dogs will share that they love the spicy smells in the house, or they love the broth that they get, or they love when this last one I'm thinking of, it was the dog mom, when she cooks certain foods that she shares because they're dog friendly for this dog's diet. So Hudson, I think, is suggesting that maybe you do that as well. If you
I think we could do
talk
that
somehow that he
I
can
think,
be a part of it.
and one of the things that I always think about too is the foods that are dangerous for animals, and what to like. I don't ever have grapes in my house anymore. After I read about how toxic they are for animals, I don't even bring them into the house just because I'm so afraid that somebody will drop a grape. I mean, I'm super paranoid about it, but I just feel like, and even yesterday every time I'm using garlic, and anybody who owns a dog that loves to, scrounge around on the floor as you're cooking. Because when I'm cooking, Hudson's usually walking around just looking for me to drop something.
Right.
So
From the good old days.
I know garlic is very dangerous. So when I'm chopping garlic, I'm just really careful not to let anything fall on the floor. He used to love Brussels sprout bottoms. When I would trim Brussels sprouts, he would eat those up. And so if they fell on the floor, I wouldn't feel so bad because they would be gone in a second. Of course, now he can't do that. But I think it's important for dog owners who cook to be really cognizant of what foods are dangerous if dogs ingest them.
That's right. That's right. And if you don't want your dog about, I have dog beds in the corner of my kitchen. So I can, if I've had enough and they're laying there and they're not moving, it's like, come on, move. I will tell them to go get on their beds.
Go get on the bed.
Yes. But then they can still partake, and I still will look at them and tell them how fabulous they are. So Hudson, we won't talk about my dogs. We will talk about you. What else? He says, Doug, please, when you do your cooking again, include me. He wants to be a part of it. Oh, maybe your viewership will be even higher because he says he's good to attract viewers.
He's very popular on Instagram. People love seeing him sit in that Bailey chair. I got to say, people love that. Yeah.
So Hudson, I think that's great because that's work that you two can do together. And and I guess you have other friends that cook. So
yes,
you have other friends. Okay, so this is what he's telling me. And you've cooked with other friends.
Yes.
And you are smart. So you would know how to do a cooking show with your friends without being together if you're doing, the quarantine cooking or whatever with the dogs. So he wants to be a part of this. He's your muse. And he's licking his chops. We know that. And so this is good. Okay, so Hudson, what else? I told him about the cooking, to keep going on that, to include you.
I would love to know, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would love to know how he is feeling other than hot.
Okay.
We've had a lot of health challenges with him, and I would love to get a check-in to see, is he comfortable? Is he where is he health-wise?
Okay. So for those of you who are new to how I work, I will laser focus tune into him now because I'm feeling his body. I can feel it's like a restriction he has. Mm-hmm. I can feel that, but he says that's the least of his worries. But he doesn't want you to worry. And he says you will worry. So he wants me to watch how I say it because you worry. He says that I guess it's his stiffness sometimes that bugs him more than the digestion stuff. It's that sometimes it's hard for him to move it in sync. He gets stiff.
Yes. He's having trouble with one of his back legs. They don't know if it's a nerve issue or what it is, but he's having, his walk is sometimes a little wonky.
All the pieces aren't going in the same direction.
Is he in pain from it? Is there anything I can do?
No, he's in pain because he can't walk the way he wants. And it's like when you have a foot asleep. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
are we in pain when our foot's asleep? Huh. Okay. So I've studied energy healing, and I'm feeling like it's something, it's something that definitely a trained like body worker could do on him in terms of getting the knots out to make it go.
Okay.
Somebody who does like healing hands, or the word I'm getting is like a manipulation, like untangling. It may be nerves, but it may be a variety of things. Of the nerve is pinched because, well, he's definitely like constricted tight. I feel that like even massage or whatever they do to the diagnosis that he needs. I really want to be careful because I'm not a doctor, but I've had medical treatment, and I know that whatever somebody who knows his body would recommend that's safe, both because of his digestive issues, his body, that like when he sits for 20 minutes, that constricts him. So then it's like, it's almost as if when he's done sitting for 20 minutes, you need to do like the reverse to sort of help him unwind.
Right.
So
to stretch him out.
Yes. I feel that if like 3 to 5 sets, look, I already feel like he's better. It's like running energy down his body to help it actually sort of fall into place by itself in some ways, but to help that unwind, that's what he is feeling more like his body wants. And oh gosh, it feels better. So that he would not have that discomfort that you were noticing. Look at him. He feels better just talking about it.
We were doing acupuncture for a while, and that actually seemed to help.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because of COVID, they're not doing it right now. I really, there is a great vet at my vet office who has started doing acupuncture, and he said, well, let's just give it a shot. And I felt like it was definitely just starting to help, but now that, because of COVID, they're not doing it. He did mention something. I didn't look into it, but it was something loop or something. And it was like it's something you put underneath them that sends out a pulse, and the dog lays on it.
Oh, there are blankets like that. Well, they're not blankets. There's like, yes.
Yeah.
Ask your people, because.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to follow up on that. I sort of let that slip away.
Yes, this unwinding, I feel like he's somebody just talking about it. I feel like he feels better. He wants, because he says, I've been heard. But I do think that stiffness is what he wants addressed first. In terms of the eating and the panting and the gagging, he says that sometimes it gets triggered. There are things that trigger it that make it worse. Like the smoke has made it worse. But I guess, do you give him, like, I don't know if he can have like a liquid, like a cod liver oil every so often? You've given him something that lubricates. Was there something, I don't know. It's like, it's some liquidy gel that asks somebody about that. You've given it to him before that lubricates it, that it softens when it gets, or it makes it dissipate this congestion that he gets sometimes.
I something for megaesophagus dog owners is you make a water gelatin. So you take chicken stock and water with gelatin, and they're like cubes, like gelatin cubes, and I think they dissolve in his throat. So maybe I should make some of those again. That
lubricates it. That's all he says. The lubrication, the fixing this wonky walk, and then he does want to do more walks when you can. Okay. The shorter walks.
We've been doing him. Right now I'm limiting walks just early in the morning just because the air has been so bad. But typically we walk in the afternoon with my friend and his dogs. So hopefully Hudson likes Jake and Charlie.
He says it's the best. It's the best. Okay, good. He loves it. He loves it. Hudson, let's see your face. Hi, big guy. What else would you want to say? Anything else? We've talked to Doug. He got the message. The cooking. He likes the vegetables. What else? You want the gel thing. He definitely wants the gel thing. The friends are good. The listener, have we covered everything? I feel like there's one more thing. Oh, the bed. He wants more space in the bed, Doug.
No way. It's not happening.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now, that is not happening.
He wants an adjustment with the pillows or something. He says it could be a bit better. And that's his only thing. And he doesn't even want to use the complaint because he doesn't want you to worry. There you go. So that's all I have. That's all he's saying right now. He is done talking to me.
Okay.
They get done.
But you said he's happy.
He's very happy. Why wouldn't he be? Yeah.
That's nice to hear.
He's very happy. He says you do a great job. He's proud of you. He thinks you did a great job educating people today, for sure.
Good.
And folks, if you want to learn more about Doug's work, go to his Instagram. I will put it in notes, Doug Budin.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Follow his cooking. You can say hi, tell him what you think, ask a question about dog care. Say it again, his medical condition.
Hudson has mega esophagus.
So I will write that.
ME, I think is, what people call it. And apparently it happens in dogs, horses. Mm-hmm. And what happens is the esophagus is just sort of stuck open. So it's not undulating to bring the food down. Mm-hmm. It's almost just like an open tube. So dogs regurgitate and they can get, what is it? Aspiration pneumonia, I think it's called.
Oh,
that's unfortunately.
And that happens.
That's unfortunately many, many, many dogs die from that and from malnutrition because the food isn't getting into their stomach. Now, apparently it used to just be, a death sentence until they developed this chair called the Bailey chair. And that, for me, and especially for Hudson, has really been a lifesaver. I can't speak highly enough about the chair for anybody who has a mega esophagus dog.
People, listen up. If he can go be an actor on TV shows and go on auditions, the rest of us can also figure out how to build our village to take care of our dogs.
I love that idea, building the village. That's exactly all you have to do.
Who's in your dog village? Have a list, phone numbers. You have money to cover their expenses if there's an emergency and they've overfed your dog. Whatever it is, get your dog village going. Thank you, Doug. I loved having you. I'm Liz Murdoch. This is Doug. We are talking with the dog, and we hope you will join us wherever you want to find us on Instagram, my website, talkingwiththedogs.com, or if you just want to think about what we've said, at least give it a try and talk with your dog. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or the Talking with the Dogs podcast. And don't forget to talk to your dog.